down here, but we'll send you to Chicago Now for now.
What's going on, Anthony?
Ooh, just kind of easing into the work week.
Yeah.
How about you? How about you? How was the weekend?
It was good. I went to Great Wolf Lodge with my family.
Oh yes. How was the adventure?
It was something. Okay.
Oh.
I'm wondering, and this isn't even what I wanted to talk to you about.
Okay.
It was super fun for the kids.
Yeah.
But it's very expensive. And there's something about like an indoor pool facility where everybody's like, okay, maybe this is just because I'm getting older, but is it weird to be in bathing suits around other people?
I mean, at a pool?
Yeah. Like, I almost feel like it's weird as like a society that we've accepted that like we're in bathing suits and like basically, because I was thinking like this is like my underwear and I'm like in front of people, but like if you were in like your real underwear, like in your house and someone walked in, you'd be like, oh my gosh. But like in a bathing suit, it's like.
There's kind of a double standard there.
Isn't it weird?
But I mean, this has been going, I mean.
I know.
We've always not been. You know, we've always been on the beach. You see old pictures from like the 1920s. They're in bathing. I mean, I know they're a little less like
showy,
skimpy or whatever, but
it slapped me in the face this weekend for the first time. I've never thought about it before. Maybe
how have you not thought about this in life?
I think because it was like an indoor facility, so it felt more like inside.
Okay.
And then also like when you're at the beach, there's more space. People aren't really like on top of each other. But like when I was in this building, I was like, this is very intimate. Like everybody is like in their bathing suit.
Did you know someone there? Like, I mean, I guess I could see it being a little awkward if you knew people, if you were on coworkers or something like that. But
it just is a lot of people.
It's an indoor pool
in one place with hardly any clothing on.
Maybe you need to have a more coverage bathing suit.
Not very, but still. I'm just saying. Anyways, that's not even what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted
outside of that, how was it?
It was fun. The kids had a good time. Punch the monkey, Anthony. Punch the monkey.
What is?
Did you miss that? You missed that part of this show. Okay, so when he walked up here, I was like, Anthony, I can't wait to ask you about this part of the show. He's like, oh, I looked through it, I know.
Yes, I did. Hold on.
Punch the monkey is just.
What is that a reference to?
It
sounds a little sus.
This little monkey is taking.
Oh yes. With the stuffed animal.
With the stuffed animal.
Yes, I'm familiar. I just didn't connect. I didn't know that was like what the phrase was known as.
Punch.
So Punch is the monkey's name.
Yeah.
Okay. When you said Punch the monkey, I'm like, what are you referring to?
Punch the monkey. No. Punch is the name of this baby monkey. That's an orphan baby monkey in Japan. It is the cutest little thing, but it's the most heartbreaking thing
I know.
you will see. I ran across a little clip of this bigger monkey attacking little Punch, and then the baby monkey like scurries away and goes and grabs his stuffy, this giant stuffed animal, and clings to it because it got abandoned by its mother.
There's a couple things that are heartbreaking about this. We're going to show you the footage in a little bit. But this abandoned monkey, they gave him like a stuffy feel-good thing, and then he wasn't being accepted by the other primates in the same enclosure. He was being bullied.
Right. Yes.
But we have a positive update. Punch apparently is doing way better.
Did Punch get adopted? I've seen all these like spin-offs that I don't know what's real and what's not. So we're going to dive into
and what's AI and what's not.
Exactly.
Also, there is a Chicago-based company that is leading the crackdown because guess what the kids are doing in school a lot? Okay, they can't smoke cigarettes, but they're vaping. They're sneaking those vapes in.
Yeah.
Now, there's a Chicago-based company that's come up with some technology. Kids are not going to like this. Vaping kids ain't going to like this one.
Yeah, well, you smell a little something sweet, and it's like, what's that? Oh, it's not candy, it's vape. Yeah, so I'm actually interested about
vape detectors. Vape detectors.
How it works, the ins and outs. I guess it's already being used.
It's like we have smoke detectors everywhere. This is it can detect the vapor from those e-cigs. Okay, but first we are going to get to a topic that is this is an interesting talker here. A new report finds that 2 Chicago universities are among a few dozen. I think there's something like 40. Between 40 and 50 colleges around the country that appear to be favoring wealthier families when it comes to financial aid. So that sounds counterintuitive, right?
Right.
Favoring the wealthier families when it comes to financial aid.
Yep.
So let's see. Do we have Stephen Bird? Stephen, let's see. We can see you. Sometimes it takes a little bit for the audio to kick in. Can you hear us okay, sir?
Can we get a little test?
Hi, how are you? Thank you.
Stephen, where are you joining us from, first of all?
I'm in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Right outside Washington, D.C., correct?
Nice.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
It's chilly
you
here.
are part of a, is this like a think tank? Is this like a research firm that you work for called
Yeah,
Okay.
we're a think tank. We're in Washington, D.C. We're literally a block from the White House.
Okay.
And we write about all sorts of issues. I write about higher education.
All right, so let's dive into your findings with regard to Loyola and DePaul, both here in Chicago. They were both named in a recent report. Will you just kind of run us through what the report found and what it found specifically about Loyola and DePaul?
Yeah, so basically the report found 41 universities, 23 of which are private and 18 public universities that have been spending the bulk of their aid trying to recruit wealthier students to their campuses while loading low-income families with large amounts of debt through a program called the Parent Plus Loan Program. And so it is counterintuitive to what we think of as financial aid, but more and more colleges are doing this as a way to recruit students who will help them raise their revenues and rise up in the rankings.
Okay, so you said that this Parent Plus loan is putting more debt on low-income families and less on people who earn more money. So how does that work?
Right. So the Parent Plus loan is a federal loan program. It was actually created in the 1980s as a way to help wealthier, actually middle class, upper middle income families afford private colleges. So it was never intended as a funding source for low income students. But it's very easy to get the loans. If you have really bad credit, you're not going to be able to get them. But otherwise, a lot of low-income families still qualify for the loans, and colleges have realized that this is their strategic priority is to increase their revenues and better compete against their competition. And so they often will compete to get students whose families can basically otherwise pay full freight. So they actually use their student aid in that way. And then low-income families are left with very large funding gaps because where financial aid used to be used to meet financial need, it now isn't. And so if a low-income family really wants to get their child into a school, they have to assume all of this debt, which very often they probably won't be able to repay.
Can you give us a little bit of information about these Parent Plus loans? What makes them so financially dangerous for lower income families?
So up until Congress just acted to put loan limits on them, but up until now, parents have been able to borrow up to the cost of attendance each year. So you could borrow $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year in these loans. The interest rates are higher than regular federal student loans, as are the origination fees. And what's really concerning is the government has extraordinary powers to collect on student loans and parent loans. And they can garnish your wages. They can even seize part of your Social Security payments and also tax refunds. So you're really, if you default on one of these loans, you're in a lot of pain. You're going to be in a lot of pain.
Okay, so it sounds like the schools are giving financial benefits to children who are coming to their college when their parents are on a higher income. then the lower income are taking on these Parent Plus loans that are then getting them in financial trouble. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so let's focus on Chicago. So Chicago has a large population of first generation and working class college students. So how could these Parent Plus loans, the heavy reliance on these Parent Plus loans, disproportionately impact those communities?
Well, so there were two Chicago institutions on the list, DePaul and Loyola Chicago, and both of them show that a large share of people taking out plus loans are low income. We found that 53% of the plus loan borrowers at DePaul were from low-income families, and they were borrowing an average of $33,000 in plus loans. And at Loyola Chicago, it was 48% borrowing Parent Plus loans with an average debt of close to $47,000. So it's a huge amount of money, and you have to think that these families are making $30,000 a year or $35,000 a year. So in a lot of these cases, they're borrowing more than they make in a year.
Yeah, I do want to say before we move on with the interview, I'm going to read a couple of statements from the universities themselves, okay, and get your reaction to these, Stephen.
Okay.
All right, so DePaul told WBEZ, DePaul offers information to students and families regarding various loan options, and ultimately families make the decision to proceed with loans as they see fit. Then Loyola told WBEZ that the university, quote, works proactively with students and families to present all available options without steering families toward any particular option. It goes on to say that Loyola will continue strengthening resources to help families manage educational costs and minimize debt. And if memory serves, we reported last week that DePaul also offers credit counseling and loan counseling to their families. So what do you make of these statements, and are these universities going far enough to make sure that these families are educated?
Yeah, I don't believe that they are. I think that the data sort of speaks for itself. I do think, parents may be presented with options, but in many cases there is no other option if they want to send their kid to the school than to borrow plus loans. I mean, the options are very limited. The steering is basically the way that they're conducting their financial aid, as long as they are using the bulk of their aid in order to not meet financial need and to try to go after wealthier students, then they are going to leave low-income students with gaps that low-income families have to pay by taking out plus loans.
So, Stephen, do you think, have you thought of a solution to this problem? Should they be diving into where they distribute the money that they have and allocate it evenly amongst all of the students?
Well, I mean, I've seen, one university that, back in 2021, the Wall Street Journal did a big story about Baylor University in Texas doing this exact thing, steering parents to loans. And after that story came out, Baylor changed its aid policy so that it waived tuition for families making $50,000 or less. They still have to pay for room and board, but at least they get have the tuition waived. So I'm very interested to see what happens with that policy and whether that in and of itself really helps. But we are looking at a number of solutions. I think that there need to be more changes in the plus loan program so that there should be an ability to repay measure put into calculation, put in when you apply for a plus loan. And the other thing, which I didn't mention, is when a student defaults on a plus loan, or when a parent defaults on a plus loan, the school isn't held accountable. And that's sort of why schools are able to just sort of, load people up with plus loans without really thinking about it, because there's no penalty for them. So I definitely think that there should be some way to hold colleges accountable if large numbers of families are defaulting.
Yeah, it seems like all the risk has been shoved onto the families, and the schools get to reap the benefits. And
yeah, well,
what makes it complicated as well, Stephen, is if you're a parent and you've worked hard all your life, gotten your kids successful through high school, and they're dangling this carrot of, hey, you can get into Loyola. Here's you got into Loyola, you got into DePaul. I could see myself as a parent being like, you know what, I want him to go, I want her to go, I will deal with the fallout of this, and then,
bury yourself in debt.
Bury yourself in debt. What should parents be keeping in mind with regard to that? I mean, should there be some kind of disclosure like, hey, FYI, with the payback rate on these that can sink people? What would be your advice to parents who might find themselves in this position?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that there needs to be more education of families. And I think one thing is, we have a tendency when we go to a school to believe that everybody's there working on our behalf. Mm-hmm. And I think people should be more wary of that and definitely get advice from others.
What would you say to a college student that's looking at going to university after high school if they don't have the money to pay for it? Do you think they should still be taking out loans on their own? Should they find a cheaper option, maybe go to a community college for a couple of years? What are your words of advice to this?
I mean, I definitely think you should look at all your options. I wouldn't discourage people from taking out student loans. It's the difference between the parent loan program. With student loans, you actually there actually are limits on how much you can take out. So I wouldn't completely rule out higher education just because you think you may not be able to afford it. A lot of schools do still give out money for need-based aid, so I would definitely shop around. And if I was a lower income student, I would definitely go to one of the college access centers that's around, say, if you're in Chicago, places like the Bottom Line, where they know about which schools have generous financial aid policies and which ones don't.
Wow, this is unbelievable, especially with the cost of tuition now. I can't even believe how high it is getting for these four-year universities. All right, Stephen, thank you so much. Hey, if people want to dive into this report and give themselves a little heads up here about what schools are named, how do they find it?
They should reach out to me. I'm at Bird, B-U-R-D, at newamerica.org.
Okay.
And I will definitely send it along.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing your findings. And again, if you want the statements, because we did our due diligence and asked both universities for statements from Fox 32. I know we quoted some of the statements that they gave to WBEZ. They give us something similar as well, and that's on our website as well. All right, Stephen, thank you very much for chiming in here. Stephen Bird with higher education at New America. We appreciate you joining us from Silver Spring.
All right, take care.
All right, you
Bye.
too. All right, okay. How long did you do student loans? Like, did you have them?
Yeah.
Do you still have them?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was
I know you
in my 40s. Yeah, I'm 47. My undergrad, undergrad took a while too, because my parents paid the loans while I was in school, but then as soon as I graduated, they were mine.
Nice.
And then grad school, I went 1 year grad school, but it was really expensive.
You went to grad
Northwestern, yeah, and it was a lot. And so that took me through age 40. Like, I remember thinking, wow, I'm 40, and I'm still paying them off.
I know.
Finally I think I took a picture. I remember taking a picture with my last statement, and then drinking a beer and celebrating the fact that I was done.
Yeah, I know.
It takes so long.
It's a mess. It's a mess. That's why I asked him about what should kids do these days, because I've heard that going into a trade might be the better
Yes,
option.
I know. No, I'm
actually
definitely not like you have to do the 4 year. I'm like, hey, what's the cost benefit analysis?
Right. Take a pause, figure out what you want to do, and then and then you hear about the crazy loans that dentists have, for example.
Oh my gosh.
And they you have to dig themselves out hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loan debt. I didn't know that Baylor. He mentioned how Baylor has free.
Yeah, they're trying
tuition.
For a year.
If your family makes under $50,000.
Yeah.
Hello, go to Baylor.
Yeah.
I would go to Baylor. Free tuition. That's crazy. And all you have to do is pay for room and board.
Man.
Anthony, this coming up story. Did you see the do tall or short?
Yes.
Do tall and short people prefer different faces? We're diving into this study after the break. And that is such a tease because what? What?
There's science behind this.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back. The moment you've all been waiting for.
Drum roll. Drum roll.
Let's dive in here, shall we? Do tall and short people prefer different faces? So this is a viral study dividing the internet. So does your height determine what faces you find attractive? According to an older study getting buzz on social media, it might. So a 2008 study suggests tall and short people prefer different facial proportions when judging attractiveness. Key findings are this. Taller individuals tend to prefer faces with larger foreheads, smaller chins, while shorter individuals prefer larger chins and smaller foreheads. What? Okay, here we go.
Oh yeah, okay, so left side would be the more pronounced forehead and the smaller chin, and then Bad Bunny there on the right, smaller forehead but maybe a wider chin. Am I getting that right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, wait. So let me. Oh, it looks like they changed the face. So like one side is the smaller. Okay. All right. So wait. Let me wrap my brain around this for a second.
Right?
Taller people like bigger foreheads. Taller people like bigger foreheads.
And then the video is kind of alluding to it here, but it's the repeated exposure phenomenon. So tall people are used to looking down on others, physically looking down, and so the foreheads, they're used to people's foreheads looking bigger because they're closer to their field of vision.
So they're just used to seeing bigger.
They're used to seeing bigger foreheads because they're always looking down on others. Physically.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then it's the opposite for shorter folks. They're looking up at people, so the chins, other people's chins appear bigger, and their foreheads appear smaller. Look at this, Caitlin. Like if you were looking,
it's like all chin. Yeah,
all chin,
I get it.
no forehead. Now, massive forehead, small chin.
Do you think?
So that's the.
Okay.
What?
I guess that would make sense.
That study's on a TikTok called QOVES.
Okay.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but this has crossed my feed
Oh, yeah.
from time to time.
So people.
QOVES, coves.
So if people are the same height, they wouldn't be attracted to each other.
Well, that's they're looking
According
at
to this
each other
study.
straight on. Yeah, I think the middle of the road people probably don't have a preference one way or the other. But I'm telling you, this QOVES, it's all about like all the science behind attractiveness.
Yeah.
And it is a wormhole, I'm telling you. Like I remember getting sucked into a couple of their videos.
Tell me more.
I mean, I would actually.
Is it symmetry?
Like don't say.
Symmetry?
It just has everything about facial structure, like, and proportions and what looks good versus not so good, and all these different measurements that cosmetic surgeons use to determine what they're going to do. And my takeaway was, don't ever go down this, because you will be self-conscious about something that you never knew to be self-conscious about after watching their videos. I would advise against it.
Is that why everybody has the big lips?
Everyone looks exactly like everyone else.
The big lips, the no wrinkles.
Have you ever heard of,
Long hair.
while we're talking about like appearance, have you ever heard of looksmaxing?
Tell me. No.
You ever heard of this
I haven't.
verb? Anyone? Yeah, it's mogging. There's a whole.
What?
This is okay. We should talk about this sometime at length on the show. There's this thing among guys. It's called looksmaxing.
Ooh. Okay.
MAXXING, and it's this viral trend of guys who do everything and anything to maximize their appearance.
Uh-huh.
Any cosmetic surgery, any testosterone, steroids, weightlifting, diet,
Tanner.
plastic surgery, every last little thing.
Okay.
And it's a whole, and they have these names. It's like Tron and clavicular and androgenic. Like they come up with these robotic sounding names and they gain followers. And there's a whole vocabulary. I just learned this yesterday because another video, I don't know if my phone's listening to me,
Yeah.
came up on my phone. And it is a disturbing trend where have you ever seen the Hunger Games where everyone in the Capitol is like gotten
Yeah.
work done and like, it's kind of like, it reminds me of that where they don't even look human at the end of their transformations. They look like walking action figures.
Can I tell you something? This is what women have been dealing with forever. Okay.
That was exactly Maggie's. Maggie said the exact same thing.
Welcome to our world,
This is during
Anthony.
breakfast yesterday. We had a friend over, and we were talking about looksmaxing, and Maggie looked at us and she was like, that's just like being a woman, right?
Literally being a woman. Yeah, the tanner, the fake eyelashes, the makeup, the hair color, the plastic surgery, the injections, the Botox, the
Okay,
everything.
well,
and now men are starting to do it.
and they're doing it, and
In
they're
a weird
naming them,
way.
and they're naming themselves these names that sound like, I don't know. Like,
That's crazy.
I don't know.
Tron.
Megatron, and then they get these social media followers and they go around and they stream, and you know why this crossed my feed is because there was a viral video of one of these I think they're called super chads or something, like mega chad. He was doing a live stream. Somebody came up behind him, took off his hat,
And he had no hair.
and he had a wig on with the hat on, ripped it all off, and so he was left on this live. That's why it crossed. And then I went down a rabbit hole of I got to figure out this looksmaxing thing, because he was doing his thing and he looked like this, and then he gets his hat taken with his hair piece, and so he's this
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's the
You
thing
kind
that
of feel bad in a way.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, my point about women having to deal with it, men, you guys got to deal with hair loss.
Yeah.
I don't know, the dad bod. It's just everybody.
And then now with social media.
You know what? You're beautiful just the way
Just the way you are.
Just the way you are.
All right, what else is trending here? Half daylight saving time. Sounds like a bad idea to me, but I'm going to tell you what has been proposed. Okay, a Florida legislator is introducing the Daylight Act of 2026, and this would eliminate the twice yearly clock change. But here's how it would work. Instead of everyone going either forward an hour and back an hour, all the time zones would meet at the 50-yard line here. So the measure would shift U.S. time zones forward 30 minutes from current standard time and make that permanent. So time zones would move to half-hour offsets from coordinated universal time. For example, Eastern time would shift from 5 hours behind universal time to 4.5 hours behind. So I don't know about this, Caitlin. I think we should choose one or the other rather than meeting in the middle, because I think it would just be simpler that way. The stats are this. Let's see, I think something like 62% of Americans want to end daylight saving.
Yeah.
I did not care at all about this topic until I had kids.
Yeah.
Because think about how, I mean, young kids, they're on a schedule.
Sure.
And they're on a sleep schedule, and their bodies have a, what's it called, a circadian rhythm, yes. And whenever this happens, I never care when I was single. I just, whatever, I'm getting up earlier. Oh, I get to sleep in. It didn't really matter to me. But with kids, I've found that it is a pain twice a year. Your thoughts? You don't care?
I can't even think about this. Like, if people want to change the time, let's change the time. I don't care. I don't care.
You just don't care?
I don't have the bandwidth to put energy into this. I don't know. I don't know what's best. I want whatever's healthier, probably, for everybody. Whatever's healthier. If it's healthier to not change the time, let's just not do it. Okay? If it's healthier to change it, whatever, let's change it.
Here's one thing I want to throw in before we go to break and wrap up the topic, and that is that it is basically universal among all, like, child psychologists, sleep scientists, and everything, that teenagers need more sleep.
Of course.
They need more sleep, and starting school at like 7:30 a.m. is silly for everybody involved.
Yeah.
There's no disagreement on this one, from my understanding.
Yeah, so why are we doing that?
That the school day for teenagers in particular should just start later. Everyone would learn better.
Yes.
The day would go better. Everything could get pushed back, and there's just so much inertia. I think the school day goes from
7 to 2.
7 to 2 or 8 to 3.
And then they get all the activities after school.
Yeah,
it's exhausting.
they jam-packed everything, then homework and everything. Teenagers are not going to sleep when they need to. They stay up, and then they have to get up early, and it's a vicious cycle.
And also with all the mental health illness problems that we have in schools, that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, and then you have Tron posting his perfect body and perfect face, and then the pressure just gets ratcheted up.
And back to the time change thing, the only complaint I have is forgetting to change your clocks, because we went to Great Wolf Lodge. The clock in the hotel room never was changed, so it was like an hour ahead, and that just led to a bunch of confusion.
Your phone has not helped you in it? That was like one of the best things about the phone. It just changes automatically.
That's great.
Because I remember, like, when we were kids, I remember a couple times we showed up to church early. You didn't get the memo. The janitor was there. No, church doesn't start for another hour. We're like, oh no.
See? Confusion.
Doesn't happen as much
Whatever
anymore.
makes life easier, but I just can't.
Yeah. Okay.
What's happening now?
Sorry, vapors. Sorry, high school vapors. The crackdown is here. There's a local company. They're called Tusker, and they are on the front lines of installing vapor detectors in schools throughout America. We are going to talk with Todd from Tusker about how it's being implemented in schools locally and around the country when we come back after this.
to Chicago.
Welcome back, 10:35. Okay, so let's talk about this Tusker vape detector. We're curious about how this works. Despite the serious health risks, of course, that we all know about vaping, it remains an epidemic among Americans' youth. So according to the latest CDC figures, more than 1.6 million U.S. middle and high school students, this is terrifying, nearly 6% use e-cigarettes. That includes 3.5% of middle schoolers. Ooh. And 7.8% of high schoolers. So many schools are combating the problem by installing these detectors that we're talking about, these sensors. It can detect the nicotine aerosol in bathrooms, locker rooms, and other parts of the building. So this is a Chicago-based business called Tusker. It's a multi-city service. It's an IT firm that has installed these vape detectors in more than 500 schools in nearly every state. Wow. So joining us this morning is Todd Zafirovsky.
Zafirovsky?
Yeah, close. Yeah, close.
Zafirovsky? He's the regional sales manager at Tusker. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me on.
Okay, so who was the mastermind behind this project before it even got started?
It's funny. We started working with this company several years ago, and the mastermind's the guy that started it. He sold the business to Motorola a number of years ago, and we've been really lucky that we've been one of their first partners in the Midwest and throughout the country. So for several years, we've been their top reseller of this product.
Okay, so tell us how it works and where it's installed so far.
So it's installed in over 500 schools around the country. We're starting to even install in more businesses and all that. And so a lot of places that they put them are in bathrooms, locker rooms, stuff that you were listing off earlier. And it's to help try to bend and curve this issue that's been going on, because we do not want to have our kids, using vapes and all these other products.
Especially middle school, that's insane. So are they in the smoke detectors so that kids don't know that they're there?
It's a separate product. It's about the same size as the smoke detector, and it does everything from like THC to vaping to it can even look at air quality with all COVID and all the sicknesses that goes on. It can look at the air quality in a bathroom or space.
Whoa.
And to be able to tell it. It's also got some safe word stuff. So if someone says certain words, it's able to trigger alerts to people's phones or emails. Then there's also some gunshot warnings. Then they also have an occupancy sensor to see how busy a room should be. And so it does a ton of stuff, and it even has a tampering thing. So if kids try to get up there and try to mess with it so it stops working, does a lot of really great things.
So how does it work then? Does a big alarm go off like a smoke detector, or you mentioned it gives notifications? Does it alert a nearby faculty member that, hey, there's something unusual going on in the first floor boys' bathroom, and then the faculty member can go check out what's going on?
Exactly. There's a number of different ways that can work. That's exactly one way. Another way that we've done is we pair it with security cameras. You cannot put cameras in bathrooms, obviously, for privacy reasons. But what we've done is you put a sensor in the bathroom, you put a camera outside so you can see who has entered and exited the bathroom during that time, to make sure that, this stuff is not going on. And then two, it helps with the students and the teachers. And there's really three ways to help curve this kind of thing. One is putting detectors like this, and two is teachers walking through the bathrooms to help make sure students aren't doing it, and three is education. So if we can help with one of the three things, we feel like we're doing a good job.
I have a question. I know obviously every school district is different. You have these in 500 different schools, but what generally is the protocol in schools if kids get caught vaping?
It really depends on the different schools. Some it's expulsion, some it's a slap on the wrist, some it's detention. So the biggest thing is making sure the kids that they're not doing it. And so devices like this help hinder more and more kids doing it.
All right, so 500 schools have these so far. What kind of trajectory are you guys on here? I could see, other, not just schools with younger kids, but I could see, certain businesses wanting this too. They don't want people vaping in their facilities.
Yeah, I mean, manufacturing plants, hotels is a big one where I think that they should be putting in. Can you think of walking into a room after someone smoked in there? So we think it's a great thing to have in schools, dorm rooms, but also like apartment buildings, hotels, and then manufacturing floors and offices, right? As more and more people are going back to offices now, you want to make sure the areas people are in are safe and there's good air quality for people, whether it is vaping or THC, or overall you can start telling how bad the air quality is in different rooms.
What has the feedback been like from schools, the principals, the teachers, even the students, the parents? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, it's funny. Most of the time we start with one or two. We pick one or two bathrooms where they think it's going on. The overall feedback is, let's put more of these in because we've seen in those areas it's gone down. And from the principals, the superintendents, they've all been really high and very excited about this kind of product. And then, obviously families are even more excited just because, it's a place you can't control what your kids are doing. So if you can help them stop it, it's a good thing.
What you mentioned before some of the other capabilities that these sensors have. Will you kind of dive down a little deeper into those? You mentioned it can detect when there's too many people in a room for its fire marshal capacity and some other capabilities as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting one. The one that I don't love to talk about, but it's a really good thing, is gunshot warning. It's able to tell loud sounds. It's able to detect where the gunshot comes from and alert the teachers and people and staff where it's coming from to help with children's safety. And there's also safe words. If some kid yells, help, it's going to be able to trigger and send another alert. And again, it's an area where you're not having eyes on every single day. It should be a safe space. It should be one of the safest spaces in the school. But obviously kids are also doing bad things in there.
Okay, so I'm curious as a parent. Now my kids are still little, but parents who have kids that are teenagers, what if they want these in their house? Because I could imagine when the parents aren't home, they would love to be detected if their kid was vaping or smoking marijuana in their bedroom. Is this an option? Can people purchase this for their own home?
Yeah, as far as I know, we've not installed one in anyone's house, but yeah, it can definitely be installed in people's homes. You're probably giving a lot of parents out there some good ideas right now. So
Caitlin and I are very open to the fact that we will be a full-out surveillance state as parents. If it were up to us, we'd be able to microchip our kids, like in the skin, underneath their elbow.
Yes.
So we're fine with it.
I've got two little kids, so I'm not quite there yet, but I mean, the amount of crap that they have, it'd be good to have something like this in there too to keep them safe.
It's wild. Hey, how much are these devices? I mean, if a residential person wants to get one.
It depends on quantity, but it's anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500, depending on which model you get.
And where does the name Tusker come from, out of curiosity?
But it's funny, we just rebranded a couple of weeks ago. So we were 5 different companies that we've brought together over the last 8 years, and we worked with the agency to come up with a new name to unify us under one name.
Okay.
So it's an exciting thing for us to be under one name now.
Is the T for Todd?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been saying. I've been telling my brother works with me, and I've been saying it's T for Todd. So he was in charge of helping us there.
I love it. Maybe there's a company who wants to reach out. Are you guys still spreading? Are you a relatively new company? I didn't see when you guys started this.
So we've been doing this product for a number of years. We've been in business for over 40 years, headquartered in Buffalo Grove, Illinois, with offices in Green Bay, Duluth, Boston, and another office in Downers Grove. And so they can reach out. We have a website, tuskerco.com. Find us on LinkedIn, find us anywhere, and we're happy to reach out and talk to anyone.
I wish we had a screenshot of what it looked like, but can you describe what one of the sensors looks like? I'm picturing a little carbon monoxide or a little smoke detector, like a white circle like that.
Exactly. It's about that size. It's probably a little bit bigger, but not much bigger than that. And yeah, it's white. They look very nice, and you can almost not even tell that they're in the ceiling.
Tusker.
There we go. Sorry, kids. Sorry, vapor kids. You're going to have to work around this one.
Yes.
All right, Todd Zafirovsky, thank you very much for running us through that. We wish you the best of luck, sir.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, always good to see a local company doing big things.
Isn't it scary? Like, middle schoolers vaping? You worry
middle schools, yeah, 3.5%. You said 3.5% of middle schoolers are doing that.
Yes, and they just follow what their friends do, I'm sure. Yeah. But vaping in middle school, I remember when I was in high school, the smokers would have to leave the premises of the high school. So they would walk to the gas station nearby, but it was like off
deal for us.
Off the campus of high school to smoke. But vaping, that's sneaky.
Oh yeah, that's sneaky.
You could just in the bathroom, as you mentioned.
It's one of those things. I feel like the kids will always stay. It's like the scammers that we talk about with the Better Business Bureau, where they're always like one step ahead of the crackdown. So this this seems pretty. I mean,
genius
for on school premises. I don't see a whole lot of ways to get around this one.
Right.
They will have to figure out a way to leave campus, and I think there's a lot more security. Nowadays, like signing out,
But you could always be like, well, it wasn't me. I wasn't the only one in there. Do you know what I mean? That's why I asked about like the punishment. I just wonder what schools do these days when you get caught doing something like vaping.
Well, when I first read the segment, like we were going to be talking about this, I was picturing, okay, wait, is it a sensor when they go into the building that will detect a little bit? Then I'm like, no, it's the actual vapor.
It's the aerosol.
Yeah, it's the aerosol. Oh, so we'll see where that goes. Yeah, interesting stuff. Okay, Punch. That little monkey, his name is Punch.
Ready, everybody.
Yes, exactly. We were going to show you the footage of this poor abandoned monkey at a Japanese zoo. This is going viral, but we have a positive update. A positive update about little Punch's little situation in a zoo in Japan. When we come back right after this, everybody.
If your child
Can't trust.
Okay, side note before we get into our little monkey friend. I just learned what mogging means from Anthony, where there's an attractive man. You know, we were talking about how these guys are like trying to be Chads.
Super Chads,
where they're really muscular and tan and whatever. I think that I just had a light bulb moment that he just described to me what mogging is. Do you want to describe to the people?
My understanding is that it's when one Chad out Chads the other Chad in the picture, they've gotten mogged.
Okay.
Does that sound right, Adina? Yeah. Okay. So like you don't want to be mogged because that means you weren't the uber Chad in the picture.
There's two guys in the picture. The best looking guy is mogging the other.
Okay, yeah. The best looking guy in the group shot is the one who mogged everyone else.
My theory is this is for guys this is between guys, because I don't think women would find this attractive at all.
Oh,
like
Maggie
Anthony
was appalled when
appalled.
There's a whole vocab behind it. There's a whole subculture. It's super.
I don't get it.
I want to shield Theo and Jero from ever looking at these videos because there were these interviews. Again, I went down a wormhole yesterday, like, what are you prepared to do? And he's like, any and all cosmetic surgeries that I can, you know, they talk about it. Like, you know, I'd like to improve my nose. I'd like to improve my jaw. I mean, anything.
You know.
Actually, with AI, you don't need to do any of the cosmetic. You could just
put a picture.
Put a filter on the and then all of a sudden you're a super Chad.
Okay, let's talk about this monkey, shall we? An orphaned monkey, if you haven't heard, and his cuddly pal are all over social media. This sweet baby.
That guy.
Okay, this breaks my heart and also makes me want to have more babies for some reason. I just want to snuggle.
Well, we're all primates in the end, are we not?
Look at this baby, you guys. Okay, so this little monkey was orphaned in a city zoo in Japan. His name is Punch. He was abandoned by his mother as soon as he was born on July 26th. which he looks like a littler baby than born on
was he
July.
abandoned by his
Still too
mother?
tiny. But the staff raised him in her absence with the help of a stuffed orangutan, which Punch carries with him. So I saw this video, you guys, of Punch getting attacked by another monkey, a bigger monkey.
Yeah.
And he ran to get like comfort from his stuffy here. This is the cutest thing I think I've ever seen. The cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay, so let's see. The videos of Punch and his plush have gone viral. Clips are circulating on the internet and social media showing the baby monkey clutching this little stuffed friend.
Oh, he's like snuggling it.
So he's 6 months
Nuzzling.
old, rejected by not only his mom, but the troop of monkeys. His relationships with other animals have started to improve. This is an update posted to social media. The zoo shared that Punch has started connecting with other members of the troop and interacting with more animals each day. Which, you know, the whole AI conversation, I saw so many different posts that were fake. Like I saw someone was going to try to buy the little monkey, rescue the little monkey. Yeah. But it sounds like the monkey's not going anywhere.
I hope he's okay. The footage, we did not show it, I'm glad, because I saw the same clip you did over the weekend where he was being chased and bullied by some of the other monkeys in the enclosure.
Yeah.
And I will say, what do you think the cutoff should be for, okay, so Jero now is 4.5. He still carries around his blanket, okay? He calls it his Nina, because that was our old cat's name, and he, at the time, just
cute. Aww.
Named it after the cat.
Love it.
And so it's a blanket with like a bear head attached to the blanket. He carries it everywhere he goes. Can't sleep without it. Loves to watch TV with it. But he's 4.5. So what's your advice there? What's the cutoff for? Or is there one?
Well, our now 4-year-old just stopped with a binky. She was obsessed. Her teeth started to get messed up though. So then I was like. Eventually, we were like, all right, that's enough with the binky, got rid of it. But when I was a kid, I sucked my thumb.
Yeah.
Way too long. But I also had a blanket.
Do you remember how long?
How long I sucked my thumb?
No, the blanket. That's my question. Is like, do we just let it play out?
Let it go.
Just let it go.
Just let it go.
Just let it play out as it's going.
It's a comfort. Who cares?
Okay.
That's my thought.
No. Yeah, I just didn't know. I mean, I don't. It's like. Don't want him bringing it to first grade. You know what I'm saying? No, yeah. I know he's only 4, but they just will probably grow out of it.
I don't
naturally.
know. To be honest, can I?
Yeah.
So my blankie, when I was a kid, it had like a silky part on it.
A silky part on it.
Silky part.
Yeah, like on the edges.
To this day, if I run across like my kids' jammies that are silky and I do this,
it brings back.
Yes.
It gives you a little dopamine hit, little serotonin in the brain.
It makes me sleepy. Yes. Oh, to this day, Anthony.
Caitlin.
I promise.
It's in your hard wiring.
It's like.
It's in your hard wiring. That makes that's very endearing story.
It was always like people's pajamas are like a pillowcase.
No.
So embarrassing. To this day, I don't bring it to work with me, okay? But if I run across something, I might.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Our next trender, Reese's. Okay, the Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah.
So the Reese's family, I didn't realize they're still around. The founder, his name is H.B. Reese.
It's a quality chocolate.
And his grandson is still around. His name is Brad, and Brad is based in West Palm Beach, Florida, and he made some allegations, public ones. He posted an open letter back on Valentine's Day. No coincidence on the timing there. He claimed that the company has substituted milk chocolate with compound coatings and peanut butter with a, quote, peanut butter style creme in certain products. So he is arguing that the core ingredients have been altered and that it undermines the trust and legacy built by his family and the original Reese's recipe.
Okay.
So the company then released a statement. They pushed back on this, saying that Brad Reese, they are saying that the current peanut butter cups, quote, are made the same way that they have always been. In the statement, Hershey says it roasts fresh peanuts to create its signature peanut butter, which is then combined with milk chocolate and molded into the brand's iconic cup shape. So they're saying, not true, false emergency.
Yeah.
Reese's are the same as they ever were.
Okay, wait. But he says in certain products. So maybe these little Reese's Pieces that we see there, those probably are what he's talking about. Like those aren't Reese's.
Reese's.
Those
So
are
you say Reese's.
Reese's Pieces. Peanut butter style cream. So that's probably what that is the peanut butter style cream in the Reese's Pieces. But like in the original Reese's, those things, which I don't know why we're looking at one bigger, one smaller. I wonder if those were like the comparison of like the previous. And I guess they'd have those little or tiny ones that are thicker.
Have you noticed a difference? I don't know if you're a Reese's fan.
Love Reese's.
I love them. They're so good. I don't think
good.
they've really changed. I have not noticed that they've changed. And I take the dad tax off of all my kids' Halloween candy. And
but these were made in 1928.
1928.
So like, when did they change? When they sold to Hershey's?
They sold to Hershey's in 1963.
So
but Brad just did it this year. And so, I don't know.
They're still good. Give me some Reese's.
They're amazing.
How cute is the name Reese, by the way?
Cute little name.
When you said
it's a cute little name.
Brad Reese.
I agree.
Reese is such a cute
All right, before we sign off, do you know who Jacob Elordi is?
No.
You don't know?
Oh, now I do.
Tall guy?
Now I handsome.
He's a Chad. He was born looking like a Chad. Actually, all these Chads, all these mega Chad influencers, they're trying to look like that dude.
That's
right there.
The guy.
All right.
Yeah.
He's the prototype. Anyway, he is rumored to have been offered the role of James Bond in an upcoming 007 film. This claim originated from a celebrity gossip account, which apparently has some credibility here. It's called Dumois. Dumois posted this last week. And there is a new 007 installment. It's reportedly being directed by Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Villeneuve.
Look at this
guy. So there he is. We saw this movie on Valentine's Day. It's Wuthering Heights.
I will happily watch a Bond flick if he's the Bond.
If he's the Bond. I thought it was good.
I mean, he is.
He's a handsome man.
He's chiseled. Right? He's chiseled from rock, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He's like 6'5".
Yeah.
So anyway, what would you think? You'd watch a Bond movie with Jacob Elordi?
Yeah.
As 007?
100%. I'd watch Star Wars if he was in it.
I was eavesdropping on Jake Hamilton talking about this, and he said that if he commits to that role, it's like a 10-year commitment. I mean, like because you have to commit for.
Do it.
You know.
Who is this guy? Was he in anything before?
He was in Euphoria. Did you see the show Euphoria?
I didn't watch that. So he's a young chap.
Yeah, he's a young up-and-coming actor, but I think he's officially arrived.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
He was with Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
And they were both just as equally beautiful to look at.
Picture perfect. Couple.
With Wuthering Heights.
You got to see. Yeah, it was an entertaining Valentine's Day date for.
You didn't even really like it, though.
No, I liked it. I thought it was good. Maggie loved it. I liked it.
People are leaving that crying. I can't wait for it to come out. I need to watch it at my house, so I don't know. Maybe it'll come on Netflix.
Grady, see if he'll do it. I don't know if he'll
go to the theater. I haven't been to the theater in 7 years. So.
Caitlin.
I know.
All right, we got another hour of Chicago Now coming up after this short break. Hope you're having a great Monday morning.
to Chicago.
Welcome to the 11 o'clock hour of Chicago Now. Good morning to you. I'm Tia Ewing.
I'm Gabriella Primus. How was your weekend?
Hey, it wasn't bad. I can't complain. I wish it were warmer outside, but I mean, we'll get there eventually. So baby steps.
That's true. That's true.
Baby steps.
I know.
We could be New York.
I was kind of, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We had this poor reporter we were talking to,
Bad.
like giving us some, updates. Actually, she was downtown New York City and she was doing reports for us and, other parts of the country as well. She was covered in snow.
I've been there.
Oh yeah, we all have. And I was like, you know what? Today I'm very thankful that although it's early, it seems to be sometimes long day. Like I'm inside and warm
we'll
right
take
now.
It.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it could be dangerous.
Different way.
It could be really dangerous.
That's true.
Which is scary too,
it was funny because she had a guy with a snowblower like come probably inches away from her. He had a job to do, so he wasn't stopping for anyone.
He's like,
not
reporter,
no
out of my way. All right, let's talk about what we have coming up on the show. A lot of women may want to get a pen and paper ready for this one. Practical steps women can take right now to reduce their cancer risk. And also we're talking about this, why kids who don't write by hand struggle later on in life. But first we got to talk about some trending stories that a lot of people are talking about.
So a lot of my weekend had revolved around hockey. It seems like, like my husband played growing up and he played in college and stuff. So a lot of his friends like we're watching a lot of hockey regardless. Now we could talk about it because the men's hockey and women's hockey is done and it's on a competing station. So we don't want to talk about them too much. But we watched the semifinals game with the men's hockey on Friday. They beat Slovakia, and so then that meant that they're going to the finals. And it was at 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
on Sunday morning. So I was at a bar at 6:30 a.m. on Sunday morning.
How was that?
It was interesting.
Did it feel like the morning?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it felt like the morning, and it felt like we shouldn't be there. That's why I was like, I'm going to be sticking with coffee, guys. They had some deal where they're like, oh, unlimited drinks for this price, and they had a continental breakfast and stuff like that. Anyway, intense game. It felt like they were going back and forth, like who knew who the game was going to belong to at the end. Well, I mean, like Canada, overshot the U.S. So it did seem like the U.S. was kind of spinning on its head. But anyways, there was one person who kind of stuck out.
And who was
Toothless
that person?
Jack Hughes. Did you see that?
Yes,
did you watch any of the game? Yes, this poor guy. Oh,
well, this has been trending everywhere.
Oh, it's all over the place. So, this is Jack Hughes that you're looking at right now. He was the one who scored the game winner in Team USA's 2-1 victory over Canada on Sunday morning. The win secured the United States' first men's Olympic hockey gold medal since 1980, since Miracle on Ice.
Wow, that's a very long time. You know what I found really crazy, not to take the light off of him and him being toothless, but did you see the ceremony when the Canadian women, they had lost, right? And they were handed, and I know we have this coming up, they were handed the stuffed animals.
Oh, they were mad.
What? They were like,
I could use a different
word. At one point, one of the ladies looking like, what is this? Like, why are you handing me this?
They did the same thing to the men. So not only do you get a silver medal over a gold medal, but then you also get the stuffed animal. Yeah, we'll get to that here in a second. But pretty much, do you know Jack Hughes, his brother's also on the team, his twin brother?
I didn't realize that until this started trending. Yeah, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Quinn Hughes is also on the team, obviously an NHL player. But they were saying that his mother birthed 3 NHL players.
Wow.
Jack, Quinn, and they have a younger brother who I guess is on one of the NHL teams who's probably going to be going to the Olympics at some point too.
Is that what is the other child's name? Is it Gordon?
I don't know what his name is.
Not Jordan.
But yeah, so there was a sudden death 3-on-3 overtime after neither team capitalized on some power plays because it was a pretty intense game. That first goal, man. The bar that I was at went crazy.
They went crazy.
Last goal, I had my camera ready. I had my phone ready.
I wish we had the
posted
video.
On my story. I posted on my Instagram story if you guys want to look at it. I don't know if it's still up there actually, but of everyone going crazy. It was fun.
We got to talk about these bears though. The stuffed animals. The stuffed animals is absolutely
100%. Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, so what is this? Is this typical? So the medal ceremonies at the 2026 Winter Olympics feature a new twist. Athletes receive a commemorative stuffed animal along with their medals. Now this plush mascot is Tina the Stoat. What? One of the official mascots of the Milano Cortina Games. I don't really know. I'm guessing maybe some type of I didn't realize that it wasn't just your typical bear because I never really saw it up close. But I'm guessing it's an animal native to cold weather. I could be completely wrong about that. I don't have my phone to Google. Say that again?
It's from New Zealand.
So it's from New Zealand. Okay, so there you go. And I guess that's what a stoat is.
Oh, here it is. A stoat is a small mammal in the weasel family, closely related to otters and ferrets.
Good to know.
Stoats change color with the season, white in winter, like Tina, and brown in the summer, like Milo.
Oh, okay.
Native to North America, stouts were introduced to New Zealand in the 19th century. Very interesting. In case
Very interesting. But it was just the faces when people got these, especially if you were hoping for gold and you don't win gold, and then next thing you know, you're getting handed this stuffed animal. It almost looked like, why? I mean, the faces that. I wish we could show up close faces. We saw that one picture. But people are looking like, why are you handing this to me?
But even the people who got gold, even the teams that got gold, they were just like, what? Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I did see a couple of stuffed animals where it looked like a bouquet, and I've seen those from a certain kind of brand. I don't know what the brand is, escapes me. Where it's like a bouquet of flowers. That makes sense,
right? That makes sense. Yeah, it's a monumental like moment for you, no matter if you win.
The stouts?
Gold or not.
Is stoat?
Is it stoat? Stout? I don't know which one. I think it's a stoat. Like float.
Probably a stoat, yeah.
Stoat, yeah.
Not a stout like a
Say that again?
Stoat.
It's stoat.
Okay.
Stoat.
I don't know.
What did I say it was?
Probably those are going to go for a lot of money at some
whatever.
point, though.
Who knows?
Give it to a child near you.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, though. So, yeah, that. Okay, we got to talk about this. This is really interesting, too, because we've been talking about people disappearing, especially since the Nancy Guthrie case, where a lot of people are questioning, where is she? That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But in this case, this was a mom who vanished without a trace. This was 24 years ago, but she was found alive, leaving family with unanswered questions. And a lot of true crime lovers are like focused on this one because they thought for sure that she would not be alive. So this woman is from North Carolina, Michelle Hundley Smith. She went missing 24 years ago. She's now 62. She was last seen December 9, 2001, but law enforcement announced that they received a tip about her location just this month, February 19th, and then they later met with her in person at an undisclosed location. So it sounds like she didn't really want to be found.
No.
The Rockingham County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina confirmed that indeed it is her. She's alive and well. And then they found her a day later. So they got the tip on the 19th, February 20th. They found her, they talked to her. And that's where it is. I'm just curious. I would really love to know what her family thinks.
I was just going to ask you the same thing. What would you think if you were her family?
So she was 38, reportedly leaving her home in Eden to go Christmas shopping in Martinsville and never returned. Her husband reported maybe she was just sick of him. I mean, I'm being mean, but I'm just saying.
Here's the thing, you don't just disappear like that. Like if you're trying to, and you have family involved, like kids involved and stuff. Like woman up and say like, hey, I cannot stand this man, or I can't stand any of you guys. If that's the case, and I've really got to exit. So there's no questions.
Yeah, and I think it can be I don't know what her reasoning for vanishing is. She was married. It says including her daughter. Oh, so she did have a daughter, Amanda, who actually created a Facebook page. I do remember this, to start gathering tips. But I guess it's one of those things where I'm just going to put myself in her shoes for 1 second. And again, I don't know what was going on, but sometimes life can be really a lot to handle. And so, that was 24 years ago, where maybe, the idea of sitting down and talking to somebody about your problems and things that you were going through may not have been as, openly accepted as it is now. And so who knows what she was going through when she walked away. Life can be really hard for a lot of people.
Oh, and I'm not discrediting that. I think that it's selfish.
It is 100% selfish.
To leave like that, to have resources be put into finding out where you went, leaving a family behind. You see that it's probably all over the news. I'm sorry. At some point, you fess up and say, "Hey guys, I'm sorry. Like all this, hoopla has been happening, but
I'm
here I am, safe, and goodbye."
I'm curious if she went on to have other children. But imagine being her daughter. Who knows what she had to go through growing up.
And now knowing that she's alive and she doesn't want to be found. I mean, no conversation.
Yeah, and I would be questioning as a kid, like, why would my mom leave? Now as an adult too, why would my mom leave me like that? But I do have a family member whose mom one day got up, decided to never come back, and left the husband with all girls to raise. The youngest at the time, I think, was like maybe 3 or 6 months old. So there are some people, but this was many moons ago. We're talking like 70 plus years ago. But you're right. At the end of the day, it is selfish. And I don't know what Michelle was going through, but I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I want to know who was the tipster that knew it was her. Like,
No
who was the
kidding. Yeah,
person
yeah.
that tipped off police to say, hey, I'm pretty sure this is her?
This is the person. Interesting. I wonder if they have any like little documentaries or anything about her disappearance, you know, prior to her being found.
She must have confided in somebody, though, to even have somebody out there know that it was her who had disappeared. So, interesting.
I don't know. It is interesting. Here pretty soon, we're going to hear a little bit more about what's happening with Indiana and the Bears potentially going over there.
Very interesting there, too.
Were you able to follow some of that story last week?
I was there in Hammond, Indiana. A lot of people automatically thought it was a play, you know, by the Bears to have this now, you know, thrusted into the news so that they could negotiate with the state of Illinois. Hammond, Indiana officials were 100% in belief that this is all legit, that, you know, the Bears are actively pursuing going there. In the press conference, I did ask Mayor of Hammond, Thomas McDermott Jr., I said, hey, are they done with their land surveys, their plot surveys, all of this stuff, you know, to get the stadium going? Because to me, if you're really serious, that part of it should be done. We didn't get an exact answer on that.
Interesting.
So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. We know they still have the land in Arlington Heights, so that's still, you know, a strong possibility for something. You're paying taxes on that, so I would think you would want to do something with it. Sure, they got it at a bargain, but if you're a business, you don't want to be paying taxes on something you're not getting money from that exact thing back. So I don't know how this is going to shake out. It's very, very, very interesting.
So can I ask you, of course, in our own opinion, you know, especially with you following it so closely, do you think that is a negotiation tactic? Do you think that they're actually going to go to Indiana? Do you think they'll go to Arlington Heights?
I don't think they will ever play. I don't think they'll ever play in Indiana.
You don't think so?
I don't.
Okay. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. But
I'm not
don't
saying
be
it's a play,
surprised.
but
Don't be surprised that during this, you know, the show here, that we have to break into some news coming from Indiana.
For sure. I will say this though, Indiana made it really attractive for any NFL team now.
100%.
The way that they moved quickly, the conversations that they've had about, you know, being open for business. So if the Bears don't go to Indiana, I do think they have, and when I say they, Indiana has built a very strong case for an NFL team to go there. Maybe it's just not the Chicago Bears, it's another team. I think it's very possible.
Okay, I would have to
What
agree.
do you think?
Well, we'll see. You know, I don't know
What do you
yet,
think?
because it could be back and forth, and it seems like everyone I've asked, like we had Mark Carman on with CHGO sports podcast on last week, and you know, he had a different opinion.
He thought so?
Well, you know, actually, I don't even remember what he had said. But it seems like everyone has a different, like, you know, different thought.
Opinion on it?
A different opinion on it. So
I don't think so.
I just like listening. I do think it's a negotiation tactic, I guess I will say.
See, I don't think so. I think that I don't think it's a negotiation tactic, but I think that lawmakers in the state of Illinois would be very they'd be in some really hot water if the Bears leave. And I think you got to also look at voters. You know, an election season is coming up right around the corner here. And, you know, if you let the Bears go to a whole nother state, I don't know, that may mean you're out of office for some of these lawmakers. So that's not something you can play with or afford. So that's why I'm not saying that, I'm not going to say that it's a play. I'm going to say that I don't think it is. But I do think lawmakers in the state of Illinois, they need to act relatively quickly. That's what I would say.
I would, yeah.
Even if they do go to Indiana, they need to have something on the table. Say, see, we had this ready, we presented this, or it's not going to look good.
Show the residents.
Yeah, it's not going to look good. That's right.
They're going to have a little bit of proof here, I think. Yeah. We will see, Tia Ewing. We will see.
Will we see?
I don't know. Maybe not for a while.
There's a lot going on.
Maybe not for a while. All we do know is that next year,
they'll be right down the street.
Season, they're going to be down the street again.
Right here.
That's exactly right.
We can't see it. Right. It's a little obscure. You know, the view is a little blocked. But I mean, yeah.
Okay. We'll see. I love it.
She got opinions. She just don't want to say them.
How many times can I say that, huh? It's kind of a drinking game at this point. All right, 11:14. We will have much more Chicago Now right after this break.
ChicagoNOW.com.
Welcome back to Chicago Now. Okay, well, cancer diagnosis continue to impact millions of women each year. Experts agree that a significant number of cases can be prevented through routine screening, of course, vaccinations, lifestyle choices. Well, coming on to weigh in, we are joined by Dr. Dario Roque, a recent friend of Prentice grant recipient. Thank you so much for coming in, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about it. You know, maybe some of these ways that cancers can be prevented. You know, maybe if women, you know, watching at home can bring out a pen and paper and write down some tips. What advice would you give them?
I mean, I think there's different ways to answer that question. One of the easiest things to do is make sure that you're undergoing routine screening for those cancers that we can screen for earlier. So that would include cervical cancer, which we can screen for using the pap smear and HPV test. And HPV is the human papillomavirus, which causes over 99% of cervical cancer. But yeah, the pap smear with HPV testing can be very effective in diagnosing precancer and early cervical cancer at a stage that can be treated and cured. Other cancers that when we think about women that can be prevented, certainly breast cancer, which if women are undergoing routine mammograms, that can also be detected at an earlier stage that can be potentially and usually curable. And then other cancers that are not necessarily only with women, but there's colon cancer, which doing routine colonoscopies can screen for that condition as well. And then when we think about also family history, so in women that have a strong family history of ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, or breast cancer, often those cancers can be associated with genetic syndromes. One of them is called Lynch syndrome, LYNCH. There's also hereditary breast and ovarian cancer syndrome. So if there's a strong family history, I usually would recommend having genetic testing, because if someone is diagnosed with one of these genetic syndromes, they can potentially undergo risk-reducing surgery to reduce and often eliminate the cancer risk.
Dr. Roque, I know Gabby mentioned that you are a recent recipient of this Friend of Prentice grant. I do want to inform people what that means. It is a nonprofit organization that works with Northwestern Medicine to fund the future of women's healthcare, but also part of this organization is to support innovative research. Can you talk about, you know, some of the research that's going on out there? Because I know a lot of times we hear, you know, we're working towards a cure, you know, for things like breast cancer. We hear that almost like a slogan synonymous with breast cancer now. And I know a lot of people don't know what that really means. What kind of research and innovative research is going on out there right now?
Yeah, so research is a very big term, and through Friends of Prentice, a lot of the research that they fund can be ideas that are in their very early stages, and they can relate to early detection, prevention, but often some of the findings can become the kinds of findings that we can use in the clinic for therapeutic interventions. So there's all kinds of research. So some of the research, again, focuses on early detection of cancer. A lot of the research that people hear about are what's considered clinical research, which is actual interventions trying to identify new therapies that can help patients that already have the cancer have better outcomes, whether it's survival, cure rates. There's research that could just be related to us understanding better the biology of the cancer itself, and then that can in turn help us treat it better in the future. But yeah, research is a very, very big term that encompasses many different fields and approaches to the treatment, prevention, and early detection of cancer.
Doctor, can you talk about maybe be a little more specific with like what kind of research you guys are doing right now? Is there one that maybe is in the works that people can look forward to, or is already you know, being used with patients?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think the some of the research that I currently do through the Friends of Prentice grant is trying to help identify what's called platinum sensitivity. So how sensitive cancer cells, ovarian cancer cells in this instance, are to platinum, which is one of the drugs that we currently use in treating patients with ovarian cancer. And that is a very early stage of research, but if we identify through the tests that we're doing that we can identify the cancer cells that are becoming resistant to that specific chemotherapy, then in the future that can help us choose better chemotherapy regimens for specific patients that may already be developing resistance to the platinum agents. That's a very complex type of question that probably will take a lot more time, but some of the research that has been done in the past, for example, the fact that we're not doing HPV testing for the early detection of precancerous cells that would eventually evolve into cervical cancer. So that's something that we are routinely doing and recommending now. There's even an HPV test that women can potentially do at home. So a lot of those interventions and a lot of the HPV testing that we do in clinical practice evolved through us understanding better the way HPV evolves and develops and helps develop cervical cancer.
You know, doctor, I always hear, and we've even mentioned it in this conversation, early detection is key. We hear people say that a lot. Do you have any statistics that can show, this is what happens if this particular cancer is caught early versus if you wait, maybe you're not getting some of those preventative testing like your annual mammogram, et cetera, and you don't do it on time, what the difference would be in terms of survival?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think breast cancer is a good example, but I don't treat breast cancer, so I'll give you the example of cervical cancer because I think it's more aligned with what I do. But yeah, cervical cancer, if you detect it at an early stage or even the precancerous stage, like what we call, the precancerous lesions, those could potentially be curable, in which case with a hysterectomy, which is removing the cervix, the uterus, women essentially survive, and the likelihood of them passing away from the disease is almost 0%. Versus in patients that are diagnosed with stage 3, stage 4, you look at 5-year survival rates of less than 20%, often almost 0%. So it can be a huge difference in terms of when we diagnose this disease.
Wow. And you mentioned, with cervical cancer and HPV, a lot of people don't go in, right? Because they can go undetected. Can we just stress how important it is for people to go in for these screenings, before they have major symptoms where it forces them to go into the hospital? Maybe they're feeling a little bit off. I'm assuming you encourage them to go in and make sure they're getting checked.
Absolutely. Not only for the screening part of it, because again, with cervical cancer, it is one of the cancers that if women can get routine screening, and we also have the HPV vaccine that helps prevent the development of cervical cancer. So if women are able to do this, this is the one female cancer that I do believe we can eliminate, or at least treat women successfully, and that we wouldn't have anybody passing away from this disease. The other point that I want to make is anybody that's having any amount of bleeding, just a little bit of spotting after you've gone through menopause, it's never normal to have any spotting or bleeding after you've gone through menopause. So if that's a symptom that you have, certainly go in to see your doctor right away. Same thing, any sort of bleeding that is irregular for you in between periods or after intercourse, something that's really not normal for women, I always encourage them, please go see a physician, because that can be a very early sign of either cervical cancer or uterine cancer.
Even sharing that, you might have just saved someone's life.
Right, absolutely. In terms of that, so what do? You go into your doctor and you say, hey, I'm having this problem, and is this a situation where you need to see a specialist that would be able to make sure that you go through the proper screenings?
Usually for these types of, a general gynecologist could certainly do the workup. Some primary care physicians are comfortable enough performing pap smears or endometrial biopsies when indicated. If they're not comfortable, they will certainly refer them to a gynecologist. I'm a subspecialist, so I specialize in gynecologic cancer. So often I do get referrals from general practitioners that don't feel comfortable doing the evaluation. But I think your primary care doctor, if you have an OBGYN, those are always great places to start, because many times they will be able to do the proper evaluation and workup. And if not, they will refer you to the right specialist.
Doctor, if you don't mind me asking, and not to kind of put you on the spot, but it seems like trends with HPV, with sexually transmitted diseases, it's kind of fluctuated throughout the years. Where are we right now when it comes to maybe trends, how prevalent HPV, sexually, sexual diseases are here in maybe Chicago or Illinois or nationwide?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to give you data specific for Illinois, but what I tell patients, and the takeaway here is sometimes when we use the term sexually transmitted, that has a bad connotation. And what I tell people, it's very, very, very common. I would say over 60, 70% of the population has been exposed to HPV. So I don't like framing it as like, yeah, this is sexually transmitted. It's something that you did. It is just part of the it is in the population. It's very, very frequent or prevalent, and in the majority of cases people will be able to clear the HPV infection on their own. There's certain things that you can avoid. For example, smoking. We know that smokers have a more difficult time with their immune system clearing the infection. This is also where early vaccination starting at age 9 to 11 can help prevent the infection. So, but it's very prevalent, and I don't like framing it as a sexual transmitted infection because sometimes people might be afraid to go seek medical attention because of it. So just know it's very prevalent. It's very common. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Just make sure you go in, get your testing done, because that can literally help save your life if you have cervical precancer that can be diagnosed at an early stage.
Doctor, are there people that could have HPV and not know it?
Certainly, if they're not undergoing testing, right, that is a possibility, right? So the only way to know for sure is by having the testing, because even though it's sexually transmitted, it may not have other symptoms like some other sexually transmitted infections that we think of. So yeah, without having the testing done, you very much can be a carrier and not be aware.
You know, a lot of the time we hear that men wait to go to the doctor, wait to get some of these screenings. But I mean, I could believe that women would be the same way, right? You don't go, like I said, until you absolutely have to. Do you find that women are just as bad maybe as men, if we're looking at the stereotype, for not going to the doctor when they need to?
I'm not, as a man, I have a difficult time stereotyping women like that, and I care for primarily women. But I mean, I think there's also a stereotype of doctors not being good patients, and I certainly fall within that category. But I think, at the end of the day, it's about taking care of yourself so that then you can go on and take care of your family, your kids. And because I do hear that excuse very frequently, right? That people are busy with work and family and going to, sports games and things like that for their kids. So what I would say is just make sure that you care for yourself. A pap smear takes less than a minute to be done. So I think making sure that you get that done. Same thing with the mammograms. Make sure that you work it into your schedule, because ultimately, even though we don't think about it a lot, it can have a huge impact and benefit on your overall health.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Dario Roque, we appreciate you coming on Chicago Now. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and really answering some of these questions. I'm sure viewers at home have as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always hard to talk about because getting those annual checkups, they can be scary.
They can be scary.
I mean, you need to do it.
Sometimes they can be expensive, and so I could see why people, take time where they're okay. I'm going to get my daughter, my son, my husband, my mother checked out before I'm going to take myself to go get checked out.
And sometimes, I'm not going to kid, not saying it's Dr. Dario. I don't think he's one of those doctors, but I'll never forget my last mammogram scared me to the point where I felt like, I don't know if I ever do this again. It just felt like doom, gloom, boom. Nobody was really explaining exactly why I needed to do this biopsy and go here. And it just felt like, if you didn't have cancer, they made you feel like you may have.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like, even when you went into the facility to do all the testing, it was a cancer facility. So you're walking in there, you don't know if you have cancer or not, but you're going into a cancer facility. The whole thing was just very grim to say the very least. And I could see why people would want to put off that feeling after going through it personally. I could understand why.
Luckily, I had a different experience recently.
I'm happy to hear it was
I found
positive.
like a little, you know, lump. You always want to get those checked out,
Yeah.
and so I did over at Silver Cross, and it was actually really great.
And
you
they
know?
were nice and
they were
everything?
very nice.
Yeah.
They had positive outlook. Everything was light and bright and airy. And I was really nervous. Like, okay, these people are not going to take me seriously, right? Not that I thought anything was majorly wrong, but you want to go to make sure things are okay, and you don't want to be put down because of it. And they were very, very positive. So I think it depends on.
I'm happy to hear that. It wasn't that they weren't. They were very. It felt like very sterile. It felt like I was walking into a morgue. I mean, quite frankly, you know, if you're going through that, you're already nervous. You're about to, in my case, they had to do a biopsy, so you're being tugged on, pulled and all this stuff. You expect when you first walk in a smiling face. Hi, how are you? Because you don't know what you're walking into.
Yeah.
It wasn't that vibe. So maybe I need to go where you went.
Maybe you
don't go where I went. I won't say where, but don't go where I went.
I will say, just like with other parts of like going to the doctor, I do empathize with those nurses and doctors and stuff, because it's like, all right, well, you don't know what kind of news you're going to have to give to this person. You know,
That's
5
true.
minutes and
That's
10
true.
minutes are what they're going through right now. So maybe, I guess, when they get to the point, maybe they're just like, bland is the way to go.
Man, they were so bland. And listen, if you're about to be handling my parts, I expect you to at least be nice.
That's true.
I mean, honestly, you're about to see me in my, you know, in some cases, in my worst headspace possible, and I'm uncovered. Like, I need you to be nice.
That's true.
Just saying.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I ain't going back there. Thank you. You just clear. Now that I know some, and that's another thing. A lot of times we don't have this conversation.
No, never.
So you don't know what someone else went through. So good to know. I will not be going back there. I'll be signing up at your spot.
You got it.
They were not nice. At least good morning. How are you?
Right?
Something.
We're going to see a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, coming up, I really like this topic. Actually, I heard from a kindergarten teacher years ago saying that since kids aren't writing as much, they're only tapping on their iPad.
They don't know how to write.
They don't know how to write, and also it's impacting other small motor skills too.
I believe it.
This is going to be interesting. So kids writing is going to be the topic right after this break.
Days on Fox.
Welcome back to Chicago Now. Okay, so maybe your kid is in school and right away, as soon as they sign up, they're like, we got to give them this iPad. We got to give them this computer. So they're typing, they're tapping, and maybe not writing as much. We want to bring into the conversation Lisa Cullum, who is the founder of Top Score Writing. First of all, Lisa, thank you so much for being with us right now. And it's Cullum. I want to make sure I get that right. A lot of these new generations, they are on the tablet. They're on all of these different devices now, and they're not writing as much. How is that impacting the generations now versus previous generations?
Yeah, so students are online on programs all day long just clicking answers, and to be honest, they don't know how to organize their thoughts and get them down on paper. And when they do have to write, they're frustrated in writing the shortest possible answer. And so we're overusing programs and forgetting that our students learn best writing things out. And research shows that it's not only their way of showing their learning, but it's the process in which learning occurs.
You know, I feel like this has been happening maybe for like, I don't know, 5 or so years, maybe more, Lisa. Maybe you can correct me. Are we already seeing kind of results of kids not writing now that they're maybe getting closer to middle school or even high school, where we've been using these tablets and laptops for a while?
For sure. I think we made a shift with technology and, tried to get them ready for what's coming. And there's so much technology in the world. But the problem is, decades of research shows that when they write things out, their brain slows down and they can process information deeply. And it helps with memorization because they're encoding and overall, just in all subject areas, it improves retention and comprehension. And so when we're not allowing them to write by hand, we're forgetting that's the best way that students learn. And so I feel like we're just overdoing it overall with technology. And as opposed to, generations like myself and above, we were writing by hand, so we were able to learn. And so I think it's important for teachers and parents to remember, we have to get students back to writing things out because we need them to learn what they're being taught and not just click answers all day long.
Lisa, I must ask you this because one of the things that I think a lot of these schools pride themselves on, I know I took a couple of tours not too long ago of some prestigious schools for my kids. And one of the things they showed me and they thought it was a highlight was the smart classrooms, right? Like, look, they can do all of this stuff. There's no pens or pencils needed. So my question to you is, as we get closer to that being kind of like the model in classrooms, what can parents do at home to make sure that their kids have the proper skills to go out into the real world?
Yes, and this can be easy. I'm a mom of 4, so I get it. We have a lot to do, when they get home from school, but think about it like if your child has something to study. I'm big on old school flashcards, and parents always say, well, what's the most important piece? Writing out those flashcards, because as they're writing that information, they're learning it. And we forget that's, a lot of parents will say, should I help them? No, let them make those flashcards, because as they're writing it out, they'll learn that information. The other thing is a lot of students have to do like a reading log. I know my daughter has to read every night for 15 minutes. And so a step that parents can take is have them write 2 or 3 sentences about what they just read. Because as a parent, you can now see, did my child really comprehend what they read? And you could have more conversations. Even as easy if you go on a trip, vacation, have them write 2 or 3 things they learned. Allow them to write out those thoughts on paper. It's all part of the learning process. And especially in those early years in elementary and middle, we really got to go back to that. Technology has its place, but the research is there, and as much as we want to implement technology, we've got to bring back that writing by hand, because that's how they learn.
When you said those old school flashcards, Gia goes, me too, me too. And you know what? It is so true.
Yeah.
If you think about it, that is how you better retain information, is writing it down, right? We even do it when you need notes or grocery lists or whatever. I'm curious, can you kind of give us an insight? What are teachers thinking with all this, especially ones that maybe have been, teaching for years and years? Are they okay with turning to technology? I guess they wouldn't have to, try to skim through different handwritings and stuff. It would probably make grading a little easier. Or are they also pushing for more handwriting, more actually, pen to paper?
I think, I'm in schools all the time with my business, and the more I'm talking to teachers, we're all realizing now, because like you said, this has been going on for about 4 or 5 years, and right now it's just becoming where there's too many programs. Teachers are overwhelmed. Imagine being thrown a program for science, math, history, language arts. The teacher has to learn all of them. Yes, it provides you quick data, but when students are writing things out, we actually get to see their learning. I always say it makes learning visible. You get to see their thoughts. And so I think that teachers are overwhelmed and realizing we've got to go back to that. And I'm hoping that schools will take the approach of, we have technology, it can be used supplemental, but our students need to be writing.
Lisa, we were looking at some video of you inside of a classroom, and I noticed the kids all had pencils in their hands. They were using them. My question to you is, are you seeing issues, though, with some children not being able to even know how to properly hold a pencil to write properly because they're so used to this technology? And if so, what kind of challenges does that pose, in their current lives?
Yeah, this is actually a big problem, especially you'd be surprised. In 4th to 5th grade, we're seeing students are not able to even write words where it's legible. Like, we can't understand their handwriting. And so the problem is we've got to go back. We've got to start in kindergarten. So this can't just be a 4th grade teacher can fix the problem. We've got to go back to those lower grades, get them holding that pencil, working with parents at home, and just it becoming more of the daily routine in school and at home. And I think it's important because it's pretty sad when you've got students that have all these thoughts up here but don't know how to get them on paper in a way that's organized and makes sense to others who are going to read it.
Yeah, literally, I had a conversation more than 5 years ago with a kindergartner teacher. Oh, and now I'm remembering she said that the student was really, really smart, but actually when it came to starting 1st grade and putting pen to, they couldn't write. They didn't know how to place their hands on the pen or pencil.
It's gotta be frustrating
to be able to, and especially now they're supposed to have learned that already. So the teacher has to backtrack, as you said, already has a full plate, has to take on other things to make sure the student is successful. I mean, what do we see like 5 years from now? Do you think that they might sneak this more into the curriculum? Tell us about your initiative too, and what you really want to see maybe, a few years, 10 years down the line.
Yeah, this is really big to me. As a mom and an educator, I just feel like it's a disservice to kids when we're not showing them how to get their thoughts on paper, and we're skipping this really essential life skill. And so I think if we don't solve the problem or start to solve it now, we're going to have a much bigger problem on our hands, especially with, AI and ChatGPT. It's all great, but those are resources to help us. We should have some thoughts to start, and then those can be resources, to make it better and help us with our thought process and brainstorming, but it shouldn't replace the way that we put our thoughts on paper. So I'm real big on going into schools. I have, my business is writing, and so I tell teachers, yes, they have to type for their state test. I do understand that, but let's start with paper and pencil and then transition them to typing, because they're already trying to learn how to type. They're finding where the letters are. They got to learn the skill of writing first and then typing. And so it just starts those lower grades. And I think it's an issue that we have to face right now and start implementing some changes, or we're going to have a really big problem on our hands.
Lisa, someone's watching right now. Maybe they want to implement some of this stuff into their after-school activities with their kids. You mentioned the flashcards. You mentioned kind of doing a semi-book report. Any other advice you can give someone that maybe their kid is struggling right now with writing?
Yeah, I think I would start with the teacher. I'd ask, what are they doing for writing? Because a lot of times schools have kind of pushed writing to the side. And as parents, we need to speak up. Like, my child needs to know how to get their thoughts on paper and be taught that. And I think it's just a conversation with the teacher that can start. And then on the side, parents, like I was giving those tips before, can start doing things at home. It can be simple. No one needs to write a full essay. I understand after school that's a lot, but just a few sentences, having conversations with your child and just getting them used to that pencil.
Do you remember the days of cursive lessons?
Yeah, some schools still teach.
Do they? Have you found that, Lisa? Are there still some schools that are hanging on?
What's interesting is we kind of went through this gap where we stopped cursive, and now schools are bringing it back. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. Because, even my own son, my teenage son, he went to go to his driver's license. He's like, I haven't written out my signature. We had a practice for his driver's license. And I'm like, where do we go wrong here? So there are just some life skills that kids need. And it's so important to me. And it's such a big thing that I talk about, because I just feel like we're missing this skill, and we've really got to get a hold on it, because if we want kids to truly learn information, not only are kids learn, but we need teachers to see where the students are going wrong. Can you imagine if they're just clicking A, B, C, or D? You're going to get data, but where did they go wrong? Where did they misunderstand the material? If they wrote it out, we could see that.
Very true. You would be able to see spelling. Where are they with spelling? Critical thinking. So many different factors of a child's life. You're absolutely right. Lisa Collum, founder of Top Score Writing. Thank you so much for coming on and breaking this down for us, because it's a really important issue.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, coming up next, we are talking all things Grange Restaurant Week. Ooh, did you have breakfast this morning?
No, I didn't, of course.
I had on the run. Man, I could go for some breakfast.
So I'm starving, and I have a couple places in Grange that I like, and I'm going to look forward to hearing about them.
Maybe we'll get to go in the next week or so. All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I smell food, Gabby.
Mark your calendars, especially if you're hungry right now. Grange Restaurant Week kicks off February 27th and lasts until March 8th. And this year's celebration invites residents and visitors to explore the village's vibrant and diverse food scene through exclusive menus and special pricing, of course. Joining us is Dan Molka, Executive Director, Grange Business Association. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you both for having me. I hope you guys are hungry.
We are.
You know we are.
Culinary celebration. I don't know if you guys know about Grange. For every 1,000 residents, we have 3 restaurants.
No way, really?
Yeah, so, you know, it's everything from sit-down, value-priced, all the way up to extremely fancy date night kind of things. So no matter kind of the palate, no matter the wallet, we have something for you.
Okay, so most people are familiar with Grange because of the downtown, right? And you think the main drag, but there's little restaurants off of the main drag too. Tell us about some of the restaurants that will be featured for Restaurant Week.
So, you know, if you're looking at something fancy, and literally it's right above my office, we have an office in their basement, Marco's Kitchen. It's an award-winning restaurant. Amazing prefix menus, one of those definitely call for reservations. Everything from like a filet gorgonzola to a seared duck breast, different things like that.
That looks good.
I know, all this And I mean, we have restaurants too, from like pizza places. We have a great new Wooden Paddle. Has unbelievable drinks, it has wood-fired pizzas, but at the same time, they have some great menus, and they have like a nice little ribeye steak. You're gonna notice me mentioning steak probably way too much.
Okay.
But things, you know, Prasno, fresh, I'm even getting distracted by the B-roll here.
Just don't look.
But you know, Prasno, fresh items that they bring in all the time is probably like the crispest, you know, best meal that you can have at reasonable prices too. So
what do those prices look like, you know, for people at home? I know you don't probably have all of them off the top of your head, but is there a range that they like to stay at?
You're looking at anywhere from like 15 to 30 for a typical entree. A couple of the restaurants go a little bit higher than that, but you know, you're also paying for something a little bit more special. You know, filet gorgonzola from like
Of course, market
Like,
price.
take my money, please.
Yeah.
When we got started, I was telling Gabby, you know, I absolutely love LaGrange just in general because I find it to be a very family-friendly place too. And for a person like me who has kids, what restaurants would you suggest on this list that would be suitable for a family as well?
Everything from, you know, we have quick service pizza. There's a place called like Nona's. You literally get big slices. They say they have the world's largest pizza slices. Prasno has some great healthy options, you know, even if it's down to, you know, fish tacos, you know, beef tacos, things of that nature. And I mean, going up the way, you'd be even surprised. We have Milk Money Brewing. You hear that, you think adult.
Yes,
they have
you
a
do.
great kids menu.
Oh, wow.
So it is a family-friendly brewery as well. So, I mean, there's, you know, I take my kids all the way to different restaurants. There's a place called Barrel House Social. They'll even eat the Brussels sprouts.
Because they're that good.
Oh, yeah.
That tasty.
Little sriracha, a little lemon in it, and just, it's so unique. I mean, I never say I want to go order Brussels sprouts anywhere.
I don't either. You're absolutely right.
You know, you mentioned so many. Are there lunch options, dinner options? Is it both?
Yeah.
Is it even breakfast sometimes
too.
during this
They got
week?
some good
Yeah,
breakfast.
we have breakfast places, we have lunch places, we have dinner places. We even have a West End that has kind of a artist vibe and some great restaurants as well. But, you know, if you're looking early morning, we have some places that you can go get, you know, your typical kind of eggs and pancakes and great things like that.
Something fresh.
I gotta ask you, LaGrange seems to have had this boom, you know, as of lately. I would say over the last few years. What is it about LaGrange? Because I have never heard anybody say anything bad when they talk about LaGrange.
It's a great place to bring your family. We have so many different events, so many different like shopping locations. So there's boutiques, there's, you know, hardware, there's a little bit of everything. The events, farmers markets, we have a carnival that brings in, you know,
I've been, it's fun. It's really fun.
arts festival, different things. So, you know, we try to make it family friendly, and even if you don't have a family, it's something that'll still bring you out and there's something great for you to do.
Don't forget the pet parade.
Oh, that's right.
Parade.
You can't forget the pet parade.
You're 80. So it's
80?
monumental this year as well.
80.
And people line the streets for this pet parade.
And there's nothing more that I like than seeing dogs and cats dressed up. So I'm
So
going to have
cute.
to attend. Probably more than even that.
A little bit of everything,
Who
and they
knows?
all get along.
They all
get along. Interesting. Just like everyone in LaGrange. How could you not? You know, one thing I love to do, and I've tried at least doing it, we've only really done it 3 times, but is go different suburbs and explore their downtown. You know, maybe go to Geneva's one that we went to that, you know, we're on the southwest side. It'd be nice to go over on the northwest side, the west side. Do suggest people make an entire afternoon, you know, for this.
So easy to do. We actually have 2 train stops. So you can come in from Chicago, get off short walks, you know, beautiful weather most of the time. And, you know, different things that you can walk around so easy. I mean, you can also drive, there's parking, there's, you know, easy trip to do. And that way you can, you know, go to lunch, do some shopping. We have a 100-year-old theater, so you can catch the latest movies. Then you can go to dinner, and most importantly, you can get dessert.
Dan, I want you
Can't go wrong with that.
Can you give a #1 dish that you can't get off your mind that's going to be a part of Restaurant Week? I know it's going to be hard.
I know, and I've mentioned
you
it a
probably
few
like all of
times.
them.
It's the filet gorgonzola. Although there's so many things on that menu from Marco's that you're going to love, and that was the first thing that I checked off my list. I'm like, I must go.
I can see that.
Anyone watching right now, they want to check out the list of restaurants. They want to come to LaGrange. Is there a website they can go to?
LaGrangeRestaurantWeek.com. You can kind of sort it by what you're looking for, and you can kind of see, you know, what's going to, you know, whether you're looking global flavors or looking down-home flavors, anything like that, it's right there.
We got to go to the pet parade, too.
We do.
got a little ways
And I already
before
kind of
it
have my lineup for Restaurant Week, I think, because we were talking about one place that we love. Owl and Lark is one on
Yeah, we love that
LaGrange,
place, yeah.
that we like to go to. A little coffee, a little pet parade, you know, that later on. But for Restaurant Week, I'm there, Dan.
Oh, yeah, and especially for pet parade, get there early.
Okay.
All right. Sounds like a good time. Head over to LaGrange. It is really a fun place and very friendly. I always find it to be, no matter, like I was going there, you got to remember my daughter was in dance right there in LaGrange, and I'm waking up at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and people were so friendly. I was like, man, I wish everyone was like this everywhere you go.
One more quick question for you, Dan. You mentioned wooden paddle. Is that the same wooden paddle? Do they have a location in Lamont?
Lamont as well, yep.
Okay, because I've been to that one. And so are they probably the newest of the bunch that's to Grange?
Yep, they're actually probably the newest one out there. We have some that are being built as we speak, but they're the newest one right now. It's kind of that same great flavor, same great drinks. A little more trendier in their actual location, but it's a beautiful historic building.
I've been, yeah. Well, not to the one in LaGrange yet. I've been to the one in Lamont, so I got to come check out the one in LaGrange. But that one's cute too. So.
Oh, different vibe, but same great flavor.
Okay, we'll be there. All right. Well, Dan, it has been a pleasure. Now I got to head over to LaGrange and get myself some lunch.
No kidding.
We'll see you tomorrow for more Chicago Now. Have a great rest of your day. I was going to say week. Your day.
It's okay.
Stay safe.
It feels like it's already been a week, doesn't it, Tia? My goodness.
See you then.